Live from Western New York, this is Self-Advocacy in Action. With today's special guests from Aspire of Western New York, Helen and independent broker, Melissa Golpl. Now here are your hosts, Gwen Squire and Angelique Everett.
Hello everybody, I'm Gwen.
And I'm Angelique.
And welcome to the show. Ladies, welcome to our show. How
Good
are you
to be
today?
Here. Thank you. Good, thank you.
Oh, very good. Let's start out with how about telling us a little bit about yourself. Melissa, do you want to go first?
Sure. Well, housing is a topic that's very near and dear to me. When my son was very young, I had to help him with some pretty significant health issues, and it came down to our housing that really had an impact on him. And I had to learn how to advocate, and I had to learn how to file federal complaints and understand federal disability law related to housing. And since he's a person with a disability, and I'm also a person with a disability, I've had to become very knowledgeable, and advocacy has just kind of brought me to where I am now, and I find myself continuing the desire that I have to inform people and help people understand how they can also advocate for themselves.
Okay. Helen?
I've been working at nonprofit agencies that support people with intellectual and developmental disabilities for probably 35 years. And housing has been probably 3/4 of that time. And because I've seen some of the history and where some of the process and the practices have started and where they are today, I find it always very interesting, not just for myself personally, but for the people that I'm really committed to support, to help them look at all the different options they have out there, because I think today we have more choice than there's ever been before.
Melissa, what exactly is a broker?
My title, independent broker, is really identifies what I'm able to do for people, and I specifically work with people that have intellectual and developmental disabilities that are on a waiver here in New York State, and broker facilitates and plans for self-directed services. So if someone wants to have more control over their service delivery, and they want to do things that some of the system doesn't traditionally or typically let them do, we're able to put a plan together, and one of the key people to help with that is a broker. And we work with a team with the individual and their circle of support. So it's really a way of putting the person in control and in charge of not only their services, but hiring their staff. They can choose the people that they work with. They can decide when they work and what they do. If they want to live independently in the community, they can develop a plan to enable them. And really, it's an empowerment model, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Helen, you're a director, correct? The director of
Yep.
Aspire?
Sure.
What exactly does your job entail?
Right now, I oversee, Aspire has 40 plus certified group homes, freestanding respite. I oversee a community hab in people's homes, hourly respite, and I work with people. We have a committee or a large group at Aspire where we kind of work together on our self-directed. Aspire is a fiduciary intermediary and kind of act in that method and have lots of folks that we provide support in a variety of ways. And that's what I think is great, is things can be designed for people.
Yeah. Now, did you have to work your way up in the ranks, so to speak?
Oh, yeah, I don't know how many people remember this, but at one point I was a vocational evaluator at Niagara Frontier Vocational Rehab Center on Leroy. So I won't tell you what year that was.
Okay.
But yes, I've had a lot of different experiences.
Yes. I actually worked there when it was called Phoenix Frontier.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Angelique, do you have any questions?
Oh, yes, I do. Well, I know you said that you are an independent broker, but for what agency?
Being an independent broker allows me the ability to work with any of the FIs, the fiscal intermediaries, that are selected by the individual that I'm working for. So the individuals hire me directly.
Oh, okay.
So it gives the individual actually a lot more flexibility. Yeah.
And for you, Helen, I actually kind of personalized some questions for you, so I hope
Sure.
you don't mind.
Not at all.
Okay. I did actually caught one question that you actually had put on your questions. Is person-centered planning and services available in group homes?
Of course. And in fact, right now it's a requirement.
Okay.
The Office of OPWDD has, as part of their survey, at every certified day program and residence, has a whole survey that focuses strictly on person-centered planning. So it's not like there's one or another. There's options based on what the person is interested in doing. And there are actually people out there who don't want to hire their own staff.
Okay.
Some people do, and that's great. But again, we have options for people so people can really decide what makes most sense for them.
Okay, so how did the change from institutions to group homes come about?
Well, I look back and you think of the guy today, Geraldo Rivera.
Yes.
And
Willowbrook.
today you're like, ooh, boy, what happened, buddy? But
Willowbrook.
yes, but that's really what started the move from institutions. But and that was very important. But I also think we're seeing today an even further move towards independence and people having control over what's important to them, and but still getting supports what's important for them. Because some people need both. They can direct, but they also need to know they have very specific needs that can be met in this particular way.
Right.
So I think we've seen over the years the move from group homes that were 12 and 14 to homes that are 3 or 4 people, and some people actually choose to live together not in a certified setting.
Right.
They make their choices. So again, I think it's great that we've come to the point where we can really design a lot of different things for people based on what's important to them.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually thought myself of getting a house at one point, like with just a bunch of girls. I thought that would be kind of cool. But a non-certified setting.
Right. Those
I've
are
lived in
options
certified
that are
settings
today.
all my life. I
Yeah.
want to keep doing it.
But that's the nice option
Yeah.
about that. And nice thing about that is there's a lot less regulations. I mean, and that's a reality in our business. There's a relationship between how much funding you get
Yes.
and how much regulations there are.
Yes.
I don't know if it's fair or not, but
Yeah.
that's the reality in 2018.
It is, yeah. Okay. Why would a person go from living in a institution to a group home, do you think?
I would think back when that became very fashionable, because there was an order from the court. I don't know, and unfortunately, I probably was around a little bit, not quite in the 70s, but definitely in the 80s. Choice probably wasn't as strong as it is today.
It wasn't.
I can actually remember the days where people would say, okay, you're going to open a group home for 12 people. You'd build it, and then you'd go find the people.
Yes.
And I don't think that happens anymore.
No.
People have a lot of input into where they want to get their services and how those services are delivered. So I think it's a great, again, that transition where we learned all of these things in the old days, and it's really making things much better today.
Yes. Well, I fully admit I was around in the 70s, so.
Well, and I speak to that because recently my son had been in a group home, and I know as a parent, what influenced my decision to want to do that was really, feeling the need to be able to get the services, because when you have a person or an individual that resides in a group home, that agency that runs that site is responsible for providing for all of their needs, including behavioral health needs or behavior support that typically for a family or a parent, it's more challenging or difficult to get that when they're living at home with you, because the expectation is, as a parent, you're required to provide most of their support.
Yeah.
And if you have a child or an individual, an adult child even, that requires more than what the system says they need,
Yes.
or is a little bit more expensive,
Yeah.
than, what the funding sources say they
Yes.
should be, you're really at a loss. And, we were in the situation where it was kind of the perfect storm and the perfect opportunity. It was a tremendous learning experience. He doesn't live there anymore. I brought him home because we were just talking about regulations.
Yes.
Those pose barriers for individuals as
Yes, they
well.
do. Yeah.
Those staff were not able to do some of the things even to provide and protect him for his health and well-being.
Okay.
They cannot act in the role as a parent.
Right.
So some things I may do as a responsible parent with diet choices, they were not able to do because there have been regulations passed where they cannot restrict access to food or snacks.
I understand, yes.
Or tell them what they can do with their money. So he
Yes.
would choose to go to 7-Eleven and buy candy bars and energy drinks versus eating the food that his food benefit paid for.
Right.
So, I had to find a different solution. And that really got me into thinking about housing. What am I going to do for him? That led me into what I now do, which is being a broker. We got him a self-direction plan. And some of those non-certified opportunities look more and more appealing for what I can do for him.
Right.
Because, many families are in the situation where they're still caring for their aged adult children. And we're having to come up with these creative solutions. We have a significant housing shortage. We have a crisis with housing.
Yes, we do.
Accessibility and
Yes.
affordability in housing
Yes.
are two, just overwhelming issues with
are.
housing, which, we try to make progress on it.
Right.
We try to have influence.
Yes.
Despite local and federal laws being passed, we still struggle to meet the needs that we have in the community. So, that also speaks to the work that I do. If I can help inform and educate in my advocacy to create some of those additional opportunities, I'm there, or if I can be there, or if I can let somebody else know and they can be there, maybe we can make some headway on that.
Now, I know that you said that you have a son.
Yes.
So how old is your son, by the way?
He's 16.
Okay. And can he speak for himself?
He is able to speak for himself, yes.
Okay.
He has a voice, definitely.
Good.
And does he have a staff? Because I know you said, with self-direction, so.
He does have a staff. Actually, something that recently we've started doing is getting him connected. I want to see him attend some self-advocate meetings, let him develop and make his own connections, and his staff can support him by transporting him and helping him be included in some of those opportunities in the
idea.
community. He has that now and is able to do some of the things that I, as a single parent, was not able to help him do because of some of the limitations we've experienced.
Okay.
Well, I agree with you about that. There are a lot of self-advocacy groups out there that he can attend, so yes. And I do have a question for you, Helen. How long have you worked for Aspire?
Well, it'll be 28 years this year.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, okay.
So I've seen a lot of things.
Yes. Okay. We actually asked you the next question on my list here about a person can do person-centered planning in group home. So I'm going to ask this because I'm not sure. What about if they wanted to do self-direction?
I would think
that?
that's a little bit more challenging today.
That's what I
I know
thought.
there are people who use self-directed to help them do some activities during the
Okay.
day.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure there's self-directed supported employment.
Right.
So if you live in a certified setting, you could still use some of those tools.
Right.
But they're not going to support you in a residential plan
Okay.
in that scenario. I know there's people, and in fact somebody in this room I'm pretty sure does that.
Yes.
Specifically for individuals who live in a certified setting, there
Yes.
really is only one type of plan that they can do, which would be other than residential. As I mentioned before, if someone lives in a certified setting, that agency is responsible for all of their services.
Right.
But if they do an other than residential plan, they could actually hire their own staff. Say, they wanted to move out. So
Yes.
their goal eventually is to get their own place or move into a different non-certified setting.
Right.
They could hire staff to teach them the skills to enable them in order to be able to do that. They could also, work on finding an apartment or finding what kind of housing. So, they've made it really available to everyone in some way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Very few instances are they not able to do that. But again, I can't just give you a blanket answer on that.
Right, and I knew that.
Every person's plan is taken on a case-by-case basis.
Which it should be.
It should be. It's
Yes.
individualized, and person-centered planning is a big component of that.
I mean, I've been in the system forever. I lived out at West Seneca Developmental Center, so I know how things have changed, and I love the changes that have come along. I feel like I'm in control of things, and I can live my own life the way I want to, not like back in the day where I was told what to do and how to do it and why. So I'm loving it. Yeah.
That's good news.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so can a group home personnel restrict, this is a good question actually, a person's rights without process in certified setting? Can they?
My experiences in different areas, people can refuse to take medications. People can refuse to eat. They can refuse to comply with requests. I think there's a lot of choices people can make.
Right.
It is the responsibility of the person operating the home to try to work with the person and find a way for them to look at their life and decide what's important to them and what's not.
Right.
Because a lot of times there's different reasons people may refuse to take medications. Obviously, no one's going to hold somebody down and make them take medication.
Like they used to?
Well, I think that would be an incident today. I'm 100%
Yeah, I know. That's what
sure
I'm
of that.
thinking. Yeah.
But I think there are things. But I also think we have to sometimes keep in balance that kind of intrinsic. Sometimes, just like all people, some people don't always make the decisions in their best interest.
Right.
They can do things that are risky or actually challenge their health.
Right.
And that's why I think agencies work hard to try to figure out ways to address that and be supportive and use their friends and families and other supports to try to get together a plan so the person can be successful. Agencies aren't metering out medications people don't need.
Right.
Generally not. And believe me, we get surveyed. That stuff is all looked at. They look at medications. They look at your plans. Make sure that you have consent for everything that you do. That is very, very structured. Every group home gets a survey by the state every year. Mm-hmm. Okay. And again, for some people, that's important to them.
Right.
It tends to be more important to parents and family members than sometimes it is to the people being supported.
Yes.
But they're also partners in this. Good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
People's families are part of what we deal with as agencies.
Yes.
So believe me, I could tell you stories about all kinds of interactions with families that have created difficult situations because they believe that the person can act in their own behalf and they want the agency or they want to make their decisions.
When the person
for
can.
them.
Yes.
And when the person can, maybe not even to the form of giving legal consent.
Right.
But today, there's so much focus on getting people to think about making a good informed choice.
Yes.
They actually have curriculum on that today,
Yes.
informed choice making.
Yes.
Where even if someone has a guardian, they can work with their team or the group of people that's important to them and develop better informed decision making.
Right.
That's a very incredibly important part for everybody, no matter what kind of support or service you're getting.
Mm-hmm. Melissa, do you have anything to add to that?
The informed decision making is a big piece.
I hear that a lot,
Definitely.
yeah.
And we struggle sometimes. We have challenges with people that have communication difficulties.
Yes.
I have a coworker, a colleague that's actually attempting to interact with someone that has difficulty in providing the information that is needed.
Okay.
So this colleague can do their job, and the people that are involved in their life, whether it's family, support staff, you know, a Medicaid service coordinator. Sometimes they have that essential information, and we have to make sure all of that information can be provided. You know, just like with housing.
Yeah.
If somebody needs a specific kind of housing,
Yes.
we're going to find a lot of communication needs to happen around that.
Yes.
With many different people. So it's vital to be able to develop and maintain that circle of support, those valued, trusted individuals that can provide additional information and can even be sometimes that dissenting voice. You know, oh, you know, you want to do this, but I know that you're not able to do such, and such.
Yes.
How is that going to affect you with, you know, wanting to live on your own?
Yes.
Or, you know, what are the things you need to consider because you can't manage your own money?
Right.
Even though you want to, maybe you lack the skills, you know.
Right.
How are we going to resolve that or address that?
Yes. Because you want to treat the person with dignity.
Dignity
at
and
the same time.
respect,
Yes.
right? And but we also still have to support that concept of
Yes.
dignity of risk. People have the ability to make choices and make mistakes.
Yes.
Just like everyone else.
Yes.
Let me add something, and I think this is really important at this point. New York State's done a couple things over the last 3 years that is very, very important. And it's only been 2 years ago that they opened up a program. It's called eShy. And it's really a program where they're developing, they allow housing property managers for integrated housing opportunities to provide supports right in the living area or in community rooms where they focus on, you know, transportation, mobility, other things that are going to help the person make it in their affordable housing or in their integrated housing scenario. That's very important. Agencies are getting this grant, and it's not insignificant money. It's really helpful. So you might be running, if you opened up an affordable integrated housing site, you may have a kitchen there where you might help people do some extra cooking or some supports. And on top of that, New York State for the last 3 years has committed $120 million to affordable housing options. Now, OPW gives that money to the Home and Community Renewal Department in New York State. But 3 years in a row, and I'm talking to people and listening, and there's agency after agency, developer after developer, really trying to improve the affordable housing options for people. And I'm hoping that in the next 5 years, if we were to come back here, we would say things are better. Because I think they really are starting to put some of the money where the mouth was.
Good. I like to hear that.
Yep.
Angelique, do you have any questions yet?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. Next question is, what's the difference between a supervised or supported certified living option?
Some of the things that people, again, are making choices about, a supportive certified residence can be anywhere. It can be an apartment. It can be all of that. It is certified, so there's regulations, but it doesn't provide 24-hour staffing. But this is just what things that people keep in mind. Because it's certified, if you needed help with your medications, you could get that because it's a certified setting. So for some people, that's not important to them at all. But for other people, it really is important. So there are some things that you can get. A supervised certified residence really potentially has staff at the house when whoever lives there needs to have staff. I mean, they used to say 24/7, but if nobody's home, then nobody's home. So, but I think those are the differences. And again, some people have selected a supportive apartment option. They get the staff they support, and there's other things that are important to them that might come with that as a choice.
Melissa, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I do know of some supportive integrated housing opportunities that some agencies provide where the person has a regular apartment, they live in an apartment complex, you know, with everybody else. So it's a mixture of people with and without disabilities, but the people that have disabilities have staff that will come and be at the site, you know, and make sure that, you know, they get their needs met and things that they want and need to do can be done. But it allows the individuals to live in an integrated environment. And it not being a certified setting, they have a little bit more freedom and flexibility because there's not that same amount of regulation.
Absolutely, much less.
You know, like
Yes.
the Big Brother concept
Yes.
where you're always being watched
Watched,
and there's
yep.
always staff around. They always have something to say.
Yep, been there,
Right.
done that.
Right.
Apologize for cheating a little bit, but how long do people live in the group home is the next question, actually.
It's as long as they want. I mean, I think the only thing that over all my years of experience is if the group home doesn't have the capacity in terms of someone has respiratory issues to the point where they have to have a trach.
Right.
In my experience, there's generally two reasons: the medical needs become such, or
Yes.
behavior support needs become so significant that they may actually interfere with the rights of other people they live with.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily happen that way.
Right.
But again, my experience over the years is people can stay as long as they want to be there. Very seldom do agencies discharge people for no apparent reason. And in fact, by regulation, we really can't. Even if you don't pay your rent.
Okay. Okay. A couple more questions. How do individuals' entitlement and benefits support the expenses associated with the group home?
The one thing that happens, and it's just what happens, if you decide to live in a certified residence, New York State and Social Security see that as a higher level of care and then increase your benefits. Okay, so an agency generally collects around $988 a month from someone's benefits,
Right.
to pay toward the room and board
Okay.
at the group home, and giving the person approximately $200. Depends if you get Social Security, disability, and SSI,
Right.
and the combination of benefits. So you get personal allowance.
Okay.
So again, for some people, they like that choice because they know exactly,
I'm sorry, but we kind of have to wrap it up.
Okay, so that's, but I think it does make a difference. But I also know in self-directed, there's other kinds of funding that can help people also supplement their benefits.
All right. Well, thank you. You ladies, it's been nice having you here. It's been very informative today.
Thank you.
Thank
Nice
you
to
very
meet
much.
you.
Yes, thank you.
Nice
It
to
was
meet
my
you.
pleasure.
And Angelique, thank you for helping me host today.
You're welcome, Greg.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here today.
This is Eric Bazant speaking for Self-Advocacy in Action, a Santa's Western production. To see more self-advocacy episodes of Self-Advocacy in Action, find us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or go to www.saneaction.com. That's www.sainaction.com.
Day, 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 Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already